Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Fordyce's BMW M3 E30 League here with Next Gen Racing. I'm Jack TM53, your commentator, as always, for this brilliant championship. We're at round 8. It occurred only a few weeks ago around the Tokyo Expressway South Outer Loop, which for a lot of people that might come as a surprise. It's a circuit that isn't used very often across the board in terms of Gran Turismo games. However, here at Next Gen we decided to do something just a little bit different. It's a very much slipstreaming circuit with a lot of action sure to be abound. But let's have a look at this grid in terms of the starting 11. We've got Next Gen Les on pole position, who will be very mindful, will Les, at this moment, of the fact that he could win the championship in this round, providing he gets 2 good race scores. He's over 50 points clear of the man alongside him in the championship. That's Fordyce in second on the grid there. Rally Matt is third, with Bruce Lee Harden completing the second row. Mehanesta lines up in fifth, with Joey Dunlop sixth. Traumatic Dave holds the first of the fourth row positions there, followed by Dominator, who's got a different livery on for the event. Looks like he's got a sort of backing from Stranger Things, almost in that case. Then it's Fordyce, who's on the 5th row, along with Danzo, and Tim rounds out the grid in 11th position. But let's get this underway. We will press play on the replay and see how the drivers get on around this interesting circuit, a very much different variant for what drivers are used to. See the advertising hoarding scrolling over as we wait for the countdown to commence. Les yet to rev for the lights. Sure, they'll come up any second. Just waiting, then the handbrake comes on. The revs rise in these E30s for race 1 of round 8. And it's underway. Looks like a relatively good start for Les. Let's ride on board because the camera angles are going to be fascinating to use around here. Les gets away well. Rally Matt looking to try and make a move up the outside, going into what will be turn 2. We're all trying to go line astern. Bruce Lee looking for a move, but not quite getting there. He's managed to fend off Mehanesta sideways, just about holds his position, but Mehanesta squeezes his way through, so he gains in the opening sequence. Traumatic Dave a bit sideways. That's giving Fordyce an opportunity at turn number 4 to squeeze his way through, and Danzo all over the back as well. Tim sideways, going onto the small straightaway that runs right the way down to the hairpin. Very important braking zone this for the drivers to get right. It's down into second gear. Mehanesta challenging on the outside. Look at Fordyce trying to put pressure on Next Gen Les as they come out of the corner, and the slipstreaming will commence now. This is the train that they're involved in. We're right on the back of Mehanesta, who I think is a little bit too far away. Rally Matt right there, he might just have an opportunity to close that gap on the 2 in front. Look at Fordyce, he's following in the wheel tracks of Les, exactly where he needs to be. He dive underneath into the tunnel, a little bit jarring for the drivers to try and deal with the change of light as they come up towards the top bank at the right-hander. A very tight sort of... Oh, look at Fordyce trying to go for a late lunge at the inside. Traumatic Dave didn't see it coming and he's been forced into the wall. Fordyce will go through. Danzo will follow him through as well. Dominator a little bit further back than that as they try and cut through the very tricky chicane. You see Danzo getting up on 2 wheels, a little bit of a wiggle from Traumatic Dave, but so far so good in the opening lap. As Fordyce picks up a time penalty for cutting the chicane. Look at Joey trying to squeeze his way through the barrier, and Bruce Lee Harden is going to be on the inside, approaching this very little kink at turn 1. Have to be careful trying to go flat through it, which they do. On the brakes a lot later from Bruce Lee, but he's slivered into the wall, and Joey's compromised Bruce Lee as a result. Unfortunate incident, but Joey was through. He has got the position, so he stays in 5th. Fordyce hits the wall. You're going to see these groups form in the front 2 of Les and Fordyce have gone. They've managed to break away from Rally Matt, who was trying to get involved, but now he's being hassled and harried by Mehanesta. Don't forget Mehanesta starting down in 5th place. He's made a position up and he's looking to get on the podium for the first time in a while. Bruce Lee fending off Joey, who's got a bit sideways out the corner. There's Traumatic Dave, he's trying to fend off Dominator, who's done brilliantly to actually catch up to the back of this group. He's a little bit distance before. Danzo's there in 10th place. Tim just a bit further back. So Tim out of the equation for the time being. I suspect that Fordyce and Les at the front, they'll just be running in formation. They want to try and break away from the groups behind, but we're watching Danzo as they come into the tunnel. completely flat section. It should be for the drivers. They shouldn't have any issues unless they're trying to avoid an incident. Swings to the inside. Does Danzo, can he make a late lunge going into the right-hander? He's on the brakes. Gets his move in. But Dominator certainly not giving up. He hits the wall. They hit each other. Danzo, a little bit of correction on the steering wheel as we cut to the onboard camera. Dominator, though, well, they're both giving each other... Well, they're both slowed right the way down. They both think they're at fault. You pass me. No, you pass me. Not sure what's going on there, but they've just stopped themselves from catching the group. Danzo almost refusing to go past. Tim will catch these two if they're not so careful. Dominator hits the wall for good measure. There is Tim. Actually, you could see the pack now. But that's compromised those two immensely. Want to let each other go through as Traumatic Dave looks to go around the outside at turn 2. He's all over the back of Suburtus. He's taking a tighter line. It's giving him lovely momentum through the S sequence. On the outside line, takes a little bit tighter. Does Traumatic Dave as opposed to Bertus. Ali Matt still running the top 3, still in the same positions. No changes further afield, but Bertus is going to have to defend. Dave braked a little bit earlier. Going to try and look to do a switchback potentially. But Bertus just covers the line. On the throttle nice and early was Dave. A lovely slide out the corner. The racing hard tyres allowing a little bit of slip from that rear axle. But Dave trying his utmost to try and put a pressure on, get into 7th position if he can. Bertus just hugging the wall to send Dave the long way around. You get the impression at the moment that Dave's quicker than Bertus, but the Dutch driver doing a great job in fending off the advances of Dave currently. 8 tenths up on that lap so far is Dave. He looks to the outside line again at the right hander. Can he go around the outside? Bertus with a little bit of a twitch. That's the move he needed for make. Traumatic Dave is underneath Suburtus now, coming into the chicane. They cannot run too wide through here, and sure enough Dave backs out of it. The curbs are very lethal, as explained by the drivers. Mehanesta has lost a lot of time. He was challenging for 3rd place. He must have made a mistake coming out of the chicane. Look at the closing speed between Suburtus and Dave, who are still fighting as hard as they can for every inch of tarmac. They will close the gap on Mehanesta, who must have made an error at the chicane. But he's dropped to 6th, and he's going to have the advances of Bertus and Traumatic Dave to contend with. Although I say that, Dave went very deep at turn 2. Swing the car through turn 3. Bertus still has his indicator on. Must have got confused about the motorway he's on. No public traffic for this event. Or as Mehanesta hits the wall. Very easy to do that around this circuit. In terms of momentum, 6 minutes gone so far. A lot of action over the midfield placings. Bruce Lee's trying his utmost to get onto the back of Rally Matt. He's sort of gapped Joey too. You see the trainer cars, they're all sort of separated out slightly, so the closest fight outside of Suburtus and Dave is this one for the lead. Les has been leading all the way through, no position change so far. But they've got a very good system working together as Les and Fordyce, and now the time is to attack. Fordyce looks to the outside. Will he try and go around the outside? No, he just keeps a wider line, tightens the corner up. On exit, nice and smooth despite the fact that he ran wide Fordyce. They've certainly got a game plan, these two. A pre-race briefing potentially between the two has kept them so far up the field now. They're about four. Oh, Rally Matt's hit the curb, he's into the wall. Bruce Lee Hardin takes the position. He won't need a second invite at that, and Joey Dunlop's going to have momentum too. We'll ride on the floor camera with Joey. He's hit the curb exactly the way he needs to and passed Rally Matt. He goes up to 4th then for Joey Dunlop. And Rally Matt, a simple mistake, just hitting the curb, clamping it, and into the wall went Rally Matt. He loses 2 places. He's going to have a bit of work to do. Joey Dunlop though running in 4th place. Good effort. Best showing so far this season for Joey is a 5th position, so really putting himself in amongst the championship fight in terms of Bruce Lee battling with Fordyce for 2nd and Rally Matt trying to improve his placings, but Joey Dunlop putting in a good showing so far in the event. There's Mehanesta, there's Dave, who's got past Suburtus after a number of laps. And he'll do well to hold on to the back of the American in front of him. If he can hold on there, it'll be a good indicator for what lines he'll need to take and how to drive that M3 in the second race. Danzo, oh, Dominator's hit the wall. It's just about managed to stop it from going completely around. I just saw those two going side by side through the hairpin. And Dominator looks like he's going to lose a position to Tim, actually. Tim is going to make an overtake. Coming down the main straight on lap 5. Take a picture, ladies and gentlemen. NGR Tim makes a move and gets himself inside the top 10. A completely legitimate overtake. Well done to Tim. That's a fabulous effort. Tim certainly gelling a little bit more with this track as opposed to others that he's been around. Probably goes on the brakes a little bit earlier than Dominator. When he looks to the inside, he doesn't. A lot of speed carried by Tim, in fact, as he hits the wall. Dominator, can he look at the inside going into the chicane? He can, he gets through. So Dominator re-overtakes Tim as Tim clamps the curb. A little bit of sideways action on the exit. But Tim, much more spirited performance from him in that alternate livery. He likes to run different liveries every event. He had the Castrol one a few rounds ago. He's got the Texaco one back out with the handlebar moustache. A new personal best for good measure. A 49 flat. He's only half a second off Dominator's best. And he's quicker than Danzo, which is a feat in itself. So those three could be interesting to watch in the return leg in terms of race 2 around this track. But we'll see how they get on. That's still a ways away yet. Dave still shadowing the back of Mehanesta. Bit of a twitch out the corner. Rally Matt's got past Joey Dunlop whilst we were watching the battle between Dominator and NGR Tim. Joey just running around in 5th currently. That's still going to equal his best result of the season. But one matter to take into account as we go over the halfway mark of this race now is that this circuit is interesting in regards to overtakes, although it is a bit of a slipstream plethora. The issue with the track is that once you lose a bit of time to the drivers around you, and if they're lapping of the same speed, if you lose that slipstream, it's very difficult to try and close the gap. And that's what we're finding now as we hit this halfway mark. As Joey clamps the curbs and hits the wall going into the penultimate corner. It's not going to cost him too much time. Rally Matt evidencing why he's in 4th place at the moment. Those battle scars when he hit the wall earlier. 45.6 on that lap, a new best for him. Not catching the sideways Bruce Lee Harden though, who's been in the 45.4s consistently. But this is the difference now. We see to the front here that the drivers who've got the slipstream of Les and Fordyce, who've been piggybacking off one another, so to speak. Les has set the ultimate pace of a 44.5. Well, Fordyce just hanging on to the back. A couple of 44s set so far. Ooh, Les with a bit of a twitch out the hairpin. And that's the difference. You can see 6/10 in that regard. And that's quite a lot to amount up to in 20 minutes. You know, 6/10 of a second per lap around here. You can see the gap exacerbated already. It's about, I'd estimate it's about 7 seconds between Fordyce and Bruce Lee Harden at the moment, so it certainly has had a knock-on effect. Rally Matt in 4th still. Joey has been overtaken by Mehanesta. So Joey falling down the order after running as high as 4th earlier on. He'll be joined by his teammate in not, well, so to speak, his best friend teammate as he hits the wall. Did Joey trying to make a move on the American? Got away with it. Mehanesta's recovery now up to 5th place. Oh, he's just tapped the wall as Joey. Not ideal for him. But as I was saying, his quasi-teammate friend in the form of Traumatic Dave, as he clamps the curbs as well. Oh, Joey's got into the wall. We saw the lap before that Joey tapped the wall on the exit, and this time it's really hurt his chances. He drops to 7th, Dave up to 6th. Bertus is now on his own, so he's not really going to make any gains on Joey in terms of position, but he can see him, and that could be a good psychological motive for Sir Bertus to try and see the driver and the car ahead and pull that gap down if possible. Danzo, Dominator and Tim are having an excellent quasi-scrap for 9th place. 48.5, Danzo's best lap, a 47 flat from Dominator, and Tim with a 46.4, quicker than the two in front of him. He's on a mission, he looks to the inside, he hits Dominator as he goes through and hits the back of Danzo, who hits the wall as well. Unbelievable for the drivers. Fairly certain Tim's going to try and give that position back in eloquent fashion. But Tim went for the lunge of lunges going into turn 2. Wasn't ever going to stick, but he gave the position back. And that's exactly what we need to see within racing, on esports, on GT Sport. More fair play from the drivers as Tim gets a bit too excited and hits the wall and then goes sideways out the corner. Got to be careful he doesn't lose the back of Dominator now. Otherwise his cameo for 9th might just be over. Danzo didn't get the best of exits either out of the hairpin. You can see the closing speed just starts to happen now. We'll ride on the interior camera with Dominator. It's taking slightly differing lines to Danzo, who's punching a hole through the air at the moment. And you can see that slipstream really starts to come into effect now. Dominator closing that gap. Down, down, down as they approach the right-hander. He's on the inside. He's hit the wall as Dominator. Danzo is given so much room. They both compromise each other's lines as they come towards the chicane. Can they... Well, I was going to say, would they dare to go side by side? But Danzo knowing better. Oh, Dominator's gone sideways through the chicane. They've just about kept it in a straight line. Where's Tim in all of this? The fight for 9th place. The most volatile we've ever seen it in the M3s. And look at Tim's momentum coming out the corner. He's just going to swing to the inside. He's going to be in the slipstream of Danzo in front of him. Tim moves into 10th and gets the move pretty much sealed. He should be able to defend that going into turn 2. Dominator looking to go round the outside though. What a move from Dominator 3. He goes around the outside. He did exactly the same thing. Oh, Tim hits the wall. I was just about to say he did exactly the same overtake to Fordyce at Brands Hatch. He loves an outside line overtake, this Dominator. He does it again there, and he's got a great momentum on Danzo ahead of him. Coming in towards the hairpin. Forced Danzo to that inside line, which will compromise his exit. Danzo runs very deep. All Dominator needs to do is get the switchback pretty much sorted. They're both changing gear at separate times. It's just allowing Danzo a little bit of momentum. Coming towards the sort of... We call it the main straight, but it's not realistically a straight, is it, ladies and gentlemen? But Dominator, following that line, is looking to try and go to the inside, but might have caught Danzo too early to make any effect on him. Then he tries to duck underneath. Will he try and go around the outside? He is doing. He's going to be on the outside line for this next right-hander. At the top of the toll bridge. He's going to brake a little bit later. Then Danzo, he's going to swing around the outside. Can he keep it out of the wall and keep his momentum up? Just about. Can he hold the position though? Because Danzo's immediately attacking, going into the chicane. He can't hold on. And Danzo swings through. But Danzo's gone way too hot into the corner and he's spun. And he almost collects Dominator, and Tim's going to take advantage of that. Tim's going to try to go to the inside line for 9th place, but he just taps the wall. But Danzo, he fought hard, he fought valiantly, but he just went too hot into the chicane and down to 10th. And down to 11th he went. It's going to take an awful lot of luck for Danzo to catch up now, but the fight for 9th continues on. Dominator and Tim providing the entertainment. You look a little bit further at the gaps through the field. Fordyce on his own. Joey effectively on his own. Dave can see Hanester ahead of him. Rally Matt by himself too. And even the gap at the front extended. Fourfish not having that slipstream from Les anymore. So one hand on the trophy for Les. If he can secure a race win around the South Outer Loop here at Tokyo Expressway. But we'll cut back to the fight for 10th. Well, it was a fight for a brief moment. But Dominator's pulled away. 46.4 though for Tim will be really encouraging. In fact, that's quicker than Fordyce. That's a real good showing for Tim. I can't underestimate that speed. And some might say, Jack, why are you focusing on it? Why are you looking at Tim? You know, he's only fighting for 9th place. But it just shows you the effort that the drivers go to ensure that they're involved in the fight and they're involved in improving themselves all the time in this championship. Budweiser just making a comment saying this was great fun. Looks absolutely brilliant for the drivers. The South Outer Loop should be a circuit that's used a bit more within league racing. Tim clamps the curb, almost hits the wall. He's got a very good run actually, has Tim. And Dominator has a half-second penalty, as does Tim for clamping the curb. But these two certainly not giving it up. They'll have one final lap now to settle the debate between themselves. Dominator's going to have to try and defend, looking at the inside line, because Tim's going to try and do a move. Is he? No, he's going to just try and clear a little bit of his penalty, but he almost followed Dominator towards the wall there. But can these two sort the penalties out before the end of the race? Oh, it's him and taking a different line to Dominator. It's actually helped him close the gap back down to Dominator. Alternative lines being displayed tonight through those S sections. Oh, look at Tim. Look how late Tim breaks into the hairpin. He's gone past. Can he keep the car in front of Dominator? He can't quite do it. But what a late lunge that was from Tim. He managed to clear a little bit of his penalty. Dominator obviously deciding that's the right time to remove all of his. Probably wouldn't have expected it, the Dominator. But he's in the arguably the worst position now to be in, to defend from Tim. Tim can see him in his front of him right at this moment. It's going to require an unbelievable exit from this toll bridge right-hander. Down to fourth gear. Oh, Tim's a little bit shaky. Dominator hits the wall. We are going to tick over to what will be the final lap. Fordyce will see the checkered flag first ahead of everyone. Look at Tim's used all the curb. He's got a little bit more. He's sideways out the corner. I don't think he's going to be close enough though. But it's a valiant effort from these two. Put on a brilliant display for what is only 9th and 10th. Great drive from these two. A really good battle to watch. Dominator takes 9th. There's Tim in 10th. Danzo, who should have been involved in that fight, but we saw on lap 9 he planted the wall at the chicane. That cost him, but he will be on the reverse grid pole, which will be interesting to see how he gets on for race 2. So he crosses the line in 11th, but we'll come back to Les, who's been absolutely brilliant all race long. We haven't seen much of him. He worked together with Fordyce earlier on, but then broke away when he needed to. And this is going to give him one hand on the championship trophy. He swings the car through the chicane. Les, one corner to go. He shouldn't have any issues as Fordyce goes sideways in the background. But it's going to be for race 1 here at Tokyo Expressway. It's NXTGEN Les who wins the first race of the night. Great result for him. Absolutely brilliant all race long. Fordyce a creditable second. Good result for him. Bruce Lee just clearing that penalty right at the last. Not that it would have affected him. He's got a big gap for third place, so he does a nice 180 at the line. Rally Matt takes 4th. Mehnester recovered well to 5th place after making a mistake at the chicane and hits the wall as he goes across the line. Traumatic Dave will come home across the line in 6th, and it's Joey Dunlop who ran as high as 4th earlier on. He will finish in 7th position. A great race there from Tokyo Expressway South Outer Loop. That was race 1, of course. I will be commentating very shortly on race 2, which will be the full reverse grid, which will feature Danzo and Tim on the front row. That's going to be very interesting to see how the drivers get on for that one. But wherever you might be in the big wide world, have a good one and see you shortly.